Good evening, everybody. It's after dark, so rather than sit here and put my ugly mug on the camera, you get to stare at this painting I did back in 2005. Back up here a little bit. So, there's a phrase that if you're around gamefowl online, you're gonna see time and again, and I had it pop up in a question on one of my videos, and the question went something to the effect of, back when it was legal, how did your birds do in the long knife? And I said I honestly couldn't tell you. The people who had them before me did not compete that way back in the legal days, and I left it at that. So then the guy asked how my birds perform when I spar. Now, here's the thing, folks. If you've watched my videos regarding legalities of gamefowl, there is no real legal definition between sparring and fighting your birds. So, by asking someone that question, if they reply, they are basically self-incriminating themselves and admitting that they're engaging in what basically is considered an illegal act. Now, there is a difference, obviously, to those who are informed between the two, but for the people who wear suits and pass laws and make judgments all day, there isn't. And I'm going to tell you right now, just to clear the air here, I've never stepped foot in a pit. So if that makes me some sort of fake or what have you, I'm sorry if I've disillusioned you. I have never competed with my birds. The fact of the matter is, whether I think it's right or wrong, the laws are what they are. I have family in law enforcement, and I was taught that at the very least, if you don't agree with the law, you should try to at least stay out of trouble, because it's easier to change a law outside of prison than it is inside of prison. And I'll leave it at that. So, I got my first gamefowl, I want to say 2003. I was thinking about it the other day, and I can't remember at this point without checking my records, but I'm pretty sure the first ones I got were a trio of brown reds, which is kind of fitting because this painting is a brown red. It was actually painted of a Wisconsin shuffler. Then I got into round-headed zeal crosses and a white hackle hen and some grays, which I bought from a man who was selling out because he used to compete legally in Oklahoma. And when they passed the laws changing it, his wife told him he had to get out. Now, I'll be straight up honest. I bought those birds with the intention of reselling them. I didn't plan on breeding them. Here I am. It's 2019. I don't have those bloodlines anymore, but I'm still involved with the breed. Now let's circle back, now that you know a little bit about my involvement with these birds. And let's talk about that phrase, back when it was legal? Well, technically, you can discuss past events. Technically, you can own old magazines. Technically, you can own books about the histories of the bloodlines. Technically, you can own old weapons, as long as they're considered historical artifacts. But I guarantee you, in the eyes of the law, that is all evidence that you are up to no good. And that's unfortunately the world we live in right now. And I see a lot of people use that phrase, back when it was legal, when they're looking for advice on their birds, or asking about bloodlines, or what have you. And it's almost 9 times out of 10 with a wink and a nod, because quite frankly, they treat it like it's a get out of jail free card. It's like an afterthought disclaimer. And that is, I'm sorry to say, but not a very strong legal argument, I feel. And I'm sure as heck not going to push my luck to try and find out, because quite frankly, I would rather continue what I'm doing with this channel and try and educate a broader public, not only about the breed and the other breeds I raise, which in 2019 I hope to cover them more than what I have been, but the plight of the people breeding them and trying to keep them going. I honestly don't think there's another group of people, except for maybe those with hunting dogs and racehorses, who get targeted and demonized in the media to the extent that people with game fowl do. And the fact of the matter is, for some of them, there's no hiding it. I mean, they're multi-generation game fowl breeders. Their fathers and grandfathers fought and competed. You know, they did up until it was outlawed. And yes, I'm well aware that there are people who still do, in spite of the laws. All I can say is everybody has to make their own choice and do what they feel is right. And for some people, what they feel is right is, no matter what, to keep competing with the fowl, because that is the only way to test the birds to the degree that they feel they need to be tested, to ensure that the breed itself does not degrade over time. And I think I've touched on this before. I've said, just because your horse has the pedigree with Triple Crown winners does not mean it's a racehorse. It means it has the potential to be one. So I guess what I'm saying is, I'm sorry to disappoint you all. I'm not some big time guy. I wasn't around back in the days of Texoma and Copper State and all this other stuff. I'm just a guy that likes his chickens. And as much as I like them, I'm honestly not how do you want to say? Oh, I'm not going to put myself in a position of risking everything over them. So I'm not going to answer questions about back when it was legal, or how birds spar, or if they're power birds, or if they're speed birds, or if they're smart, or if they run in with their head first, or if they run out of power, or any of that. Like I said, I never competed with them. I don't know. Okay? And I'm just trying to be honest with you. And I hope y'all can respect that. So don't take it personal if you ask that question and I don't answer. But it's just a combination of I honestly can't answer you from firsthand experience, and I honestly can't answer you without getting myself in trouble. So hope you all have a good one, and keep doing what you're doing. It's the best I can say. Thanks.